Okay, it's the 2nd of May, 2002, and I'm sitting here with Dad in Lyons on the farm, and we're just going to be talking about some of his aeronautic career, his aviation career. I guess Navy and aviation can fit together. But
well, sometimes.
Dad, let's start by talking about Montauk. That whole thing is really interesting, and how it's sort of those years come back around as a focus. So just give me a little background on.
Okay. Well, you know, I never thought of Montauk Point Light or that area at all till we saw the lighthouses and the gift shops everywhere. And so I thought, you know, I landed right in front of Montauk Point Light, and I thought, I bet they got one of those here somewhere. And this was out at, let's see, in California, off California at the island out there. Catalina Island. They had a lot of shops full of them, and I never did find Montauk Light. So then I started looking everywhere we went, and well, we ended up going through San Diego and stopped at San Diego Old Town. Walked in the door, and right in front of him it was this lots bigger model of Montauk Light. So I bought that, and then one thing led to another, and Larry said he was going to get on the internet and see what he could find out about Montauk Light. So there's a whole stack of papers there about an inch thick about Montauk Light. But anyway, the guy there on the internet said that Montauk Light is now a museum, and the light's still there, but it's all automated, and so there's no, you know, lighthouse keepers or anybody around. So now it's a full museum, and they had several buildings there, more than normal for a lighthouse. And so the guy wrote back to her, emailed Larry back and said he'd like to know more about it. He'd like to have a picture. Well, he told him that I had landed there on the highway, belly landed on the highway. So he said he wanted to know more about it. So I wrote a little sketch about it, and Larry sent that to him. And he said, well, that's real interesting. He said, we need some more information. We need a picture and a note about what happened. And he said, as a matter of fact, there was a man through here the other day that said when he was 9 years old, he saw a Navy plane land on that highway, and he remembered that. Now he's, what, that was 60-some years ago. So so he was interested in knowing more about it too, because he had seen me land there. So anyway, so this all started when
you're saying this is how this all started?
Yeah, this all started, we were based at Groton, Connecticut, and it was our last day there, actually. We were getting ready to move to the West Coast or wherever we could find our carrier. We'd been assigned to the Boxer, and something was wrong with it, and they took it out for a shakedown, and so we didn't get it. They said, you guys are too much time involved, so you just well find a different carrier, which was, you know, went on for 6 or 8 months. Yeah. We were chasing carriers.
I'll go back and ask you about some of that later, but
okay.
About what year are we talking about? When?
This was early spring of 1945.
Oh, okay.
Because it was, Groton, Connecticut was all ice all winter long. I mean, you never saw the ground. It'd snow and ice up and just pile up and pile up. But it was early spring in 1945. We're getting ready to move to the West Coast, and the night that this happened, after this happened, we were going to have a squadron party. It wasn't just the Hellcats. It was for everybody. So it would have been everybody come together for a big party. I think it was a Saturday night. So anyway, we took off early in the morning for a gunnery hop out beyond Long Island, yeah, where our gunnery range was. And so I got out there a little late and caught up with them just when they were starting to make runs, and just getting lined up to make a run. And they said, "Hey, you're smoking. You got something going on." So they said, "You better head back for somewhere, get for our base," which was 32 miles from Long Island, actually, across the water. And I was losing altitude. I couldn't hold the altitude, so I kept losing altitude, and I picked up a what do they call those guys out there? They were doing an area in I think it was a torpedo bomber that had a crew in it or something that was lacing the area, looking for trouble, you know. So we had radio silence all the time, but anyway, something like that we could holler at them. So I hollered at them, and they found me and actually followed me in. By the time I got to Long Island, I was clear out of altitude, and I saw this shiny concrete highway going out to Montauk Light. And they said, "You got your wheels up and everything ready?" Well, the oil from the engine that was having a problem had covered the windshield, so I wasn't seeing too good. Sure. And so I got lined up with the highway and set her down there, belly landed on that highway. And there was a ravine across the highway, or went under the highway, and my wings mowed off the little rustic posts on each side, and that spun the plane around. When I stopped, I was going the opposite direction, and I got out. And
so it just spun at 180 degrees.
Yeah, back to where I'd just come from. So it was plane. I was fine, and I got out and waved at the PBN. No, what would that have been? SBD, I guess, that followed me in, this rescue and something. And
they joined up with you and kind of flew your wing as you made it?
Not that close. No, they were just behind me where they could see me. And
you were in a Hellcat, right?
Was in a Hellcat, yeah. So I got out, stood on the wing, and waved at them, and they took off, and so I was all right, and let them know I was all right. And here come a pickup from the lighthouse to see what was going on. They took me back to the lighthouse to find out exactly what had happened. And there was
How far were you from the lighthouse?
Oh, gee, probably well, maybe 3 or 4 blocks, I expect. And they took me back there, and I said I ought to call the base and tell them where I was and what happened. And I told the guys at the lighthouse I needed a ride somewhere to get back to Groton, Connecticut. And first thing they did was bring me some black coffee. And I thought I could stand anything, but I couldn't stand that coffee. I said, and anyway, so then they took me, we got in a different vehicle. They said, "We'll take you to our Coast Guard headquarters," which was west down Long Island. And, oh gosh, probably 8-10 miles, I expect, we drove to there. And
down the same road, down that road, or?
Yeah.
No, probably that road.
Same road, yeah. And so we went to their headquarters and had lunch. And not one of my favorites was corned beef and cabbage. And we ate lunch. I ate lunch there with them, and they took me west end. They thought they knew where there was an Army base that had some 2-place planes, and they could get me back to Groton. So when we got there, they said sure they could do that, but they didn't have any pilots available. They were all out in training missions with their own people. So I must have sat there a couple hours or more before they found somebody that could fly me back to Groton. And we got in the plane, and the pilot said, I want to see your airplane. He says, let's go back down the highway, and I want to see it. Well, when we got there, excuse me, they had folded up the wings and probably getting ready to put it on a truck or something.
So guys from some Navy base had come out, or?
I don't know if they built the Hellcats,
Yeah.
and I can't think of the name of the town. Bethpage, I believe. And anyway, they just hauled them around on trailers when they had them folded up. So. And that's the way they got it back. But anyway, what really happened, one of the bottom cylinders had filled with oil, and it blew the cap of the cylinder off, and that's where all the oil was coming from.
That's why you were losing power.
Oh, yeah. And so it's a good thing. But it's 32 miles across that water, and survival time was like 26 minutes. And they said, well, these guys suggested I could land on the beach. Well, the beach was pretty rough. It was sand dunes, and the beach was so narrow. Besides, it was cold in that water, so I decided to try the highway.
So you were coming back, you've been out east, and you were coming back towards the west, and then it sounds like you turned around and landed. Did you land back towards the east then?
I landed toward the east. Actually, our gunnery range was south of the lighthouse, down in that area. I had a little box down there we're supposed to be in. So I came back north and just turned into the highway.
Right base leg to the highway.
Yeah.
How by the time you got to Long Island itself, what was your altitude? Do you have any idea? Do you remember? You're getting pretty low by then, probably.
Hundreds. I don't know.
Really?
I don't really know how.
So it was time to put it down.
It was time to put it down. I had to go down there or else in the water somewhere.
Wow.
But I can remember seeing the end of our runway at Groton was about a 30-foot sheer cliff, and you don't go in you don't want to go low into something like that
I guess not.
when you don't have any power, and I couldn't hold the altitude anyway.
So when you configured, did you tell me once that you initially had the gear down, and these guys suggested bringing it up, or how?
I was trying to slow it down all I could.
Yeah.
So I put the gear down, and I thought, well, maybe this oil's coming from hydraulic oil. But it wasn't, because the gear went back up when they said, you better put your gear back up, which was smart. Because not being able to see, I couldn't have stayed on that highway at all.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
I mean, besides the windshield being all oiled up, you can't really see anyway because of those of the plane. You have to S it down the runway or the taxiway to know where you're going, because there's a blind spot there in front.
Wow. So you're basically normal configuration, flaps and all that stuff. I'm assuming you had landing flaps.
Yeah.
Just brought the gear up and just took it in like that.
Yeah. Just get it in. Well, we were used to dragging the tail anyway, so we could get that thing down to 65, 70 knots.
Wow.
Get it pretty slow, so it wasn't that big a deal for speed.
Yeah.
Because we just drug the tail and stalled them in.
Sure.
And that worked that time anyway.
So was the landing, was it, do you remember, was it pretty, did you get shaken up pretty good or bruised around or bumped around?
No.
Came down pretty well?
Just like
Just a quick
actually,
stop?
I was skidding along there. I don't have any idea how long I skidded, but it was pretty much like a normal landing. Because you put the tail down and stalls out in that position. Anyway, that was that incident.
Can you go back for a minute? You were telling me earlier about it was kind of unusual anyway, because when you went out the airplane you had signed, you actually didn't end up with a right.
Oh yeah. I was doing a recognition class I thought I can catch up with those guys because we were having this big party that night, and I didn't want to spend all afternoon doing recognition or something. So I did a class early in the morning, and the guys were just going down the runway when I got to my airplane, and it said they were all lined up there, and I was assigned, say, number 10, and between 9 and 11, here was this plane sitting there, but it didn't have any numbers on the wheel flaps, the little flaps where they always put the numbers. So the guy says, well, we've had some problems with this airplane, but it's up now. I said, you just jump in and go. And the crewman, so I jumped in and took off, caught up with them before they got to the gunnery area, and was in the pattern with them when he says, hey, you're smoking. So, but then because of that, I took an airplane that didn't have any ammunition. Didn't know that till I got down on the ground, skidded, and got out of the plane. I thought I better check these guns. I don't want to let this thing sit here with a bunch of ammunition in it out in the country. So took my little knife and unscrewed or turned a couple of pulled the flap up where the guns are. And sure enough, there wasn't any ammunition in that plane. So that's one thing we didn't have to worry about. So I wouldn't have done too good shooting at that target that day.
So it may or may not have been the airplane you were supposed to be flying anyway. Or
well,
sitting there, sitting in the right spot.
it's sitting in the right spot, and they says jump in and go. So,
Yeah.
And the bad part was I was engineering officer at that time, and they asked me some questions about it, but we never got any of those records. I never got any of those records about it at all, knowing about exactly what happened, except they said it lost a cylinder.
Yeah.
But I guess we left the carrier in the Pacific, and I guess all of our records stayed on the carrier because we didn't get logbooks, we didn't get anything when we left there. So to pinpoint some of these things is kind of hard.
Sure.
But
You talked about going to gunnery range. Was that towed targets, or is that what you did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
normally, well, let's see. I think we were using a tube sleeve then. We had straight meshed sleeves, but I think this was round. Usually what we had. They weren't so heavy. And
is that something you did routinely? I mean, this was then, yeah.
we were supposed to be learning how to hit that target,
Sure.
which was, you had to really work with the trim tabs to, pull it. When you got a lot of G's coming in, you got to get some of that pressure off of there to do any good.
Sure.
But we had one guy in our squadron who had been to the fleet and was back second time around. He didn't like all that gunnery, so he'd shoot the tow rope off routinely. About probably once a week he'd shoot the rope off. We all head back for home.
How far behind the towing airplane was the target?
Oh boy. Probably, let's see, this house is 100 feet long. Probably 400 feet, 300 probably. I'm just guessing.
Was it somebody from your squadron would do that, or was that some different airplane that would pull the target, or
It was one of us.
just one of you guys?
Yeah. If we were flying six in a flight, and so 5 of us were shooting, and one guy was towing.
Oh, I see.
First time I got in an F6 at Atlantic City, they said, "It's your turn to tow." Never been an F6 before. Never pulled a tow with anything but an FM, F4F.
Oh, Wildcat.
Wildcat. And he said, "It's your turn to pull a tow." So I took off with a tow, pulled her up like we're supposed to do, and popped the rope. Had to go back around, get a new
Popped it off the airplane.
broke the rope.
Oh, broke it. I see.
broke the rope because I was, you know, first time I'd done it, and I pulled it up a little steep, and
Just drag it, or did you release it after you got airborne, or how did that? Just drag it off the ground?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the idea is to you get in a steep climb, and it's supposed to it'll drag a little ways on a runway, and then it'll be airborne, and then you just take out with it. But it always drooped down a long ways on the rope. But so I had to drop that, go back and drop the rope, what was left of it, then come around again and land, get a new tow, get a new target, and take out again. So that's what I did. I took out again, and the guys were, this was a different gunnery range. It was, we were Atlantic City at that time when we got these Hellcats. And our targets were, our range was like straight east in the Pacific, in the Atlantic, straight east of Atlantic City. And so I went out there and tried to find them, and they were all out there just messing around, waiting for me. And he says, we're going home. He said, you're too late. They didn't, I think they went by me and waved because we couldn't use the radios. But anyway.
So all of you were new to the Hellcat then, relatively?
Well, except the guys there was a few guys that had been in the fleet before, that had been instructing, and then they put them back in a squadron. Like Rupert, remember him? Jay Rupert.
From Eastern.
Yeah, he flew for Eastern. He gave me a cockpit checkout, and that's set in there, and this is this, and this is that, and all of these instruments. First time around, they had more instruments than the old F4F had, than the Wildcats had, but not much more.
So did you have ground school? I mean, did you talk about the airplane, talk about systems, talk about that kind of thing, or you just the cockpit check and jump in? And
That was it.
That was it?
We're supposed to know it all by then.
Oh, okay. So you did have some books, you just didn't have any. I mean, they gave you the...
Well...
Like a flight manual or...
No.
No, really?
Not for a specific airplane.
Oh, really? Okay. So they just gave you...
cockpit checkout.
Trained in tactics and all that stuff, and now this is just a new airplane. Here's where everything is.
Yeah.
Go try it.
Go with it. Yeah.
Huh.
We didn't have a indoctrination flight or anything.
Really?
I mean, it was all sitting there in the cockpit, and you're supposed to figure it out. Which that part wasn't a big deal, but when I had a tow to get up there too, it was no big deal. But anyway.
It was a lot more power than the F4F. I mean, bigger.
Yeah.
Was it R2800? Is that? Remember?
I don't know. It was 2,000 horsepower.
Yeah.
That's what they kept telling us.
So it wasn't, other than just a little heavier and a little more power, it wasn't a lot.
Well, it was lots more stable when you landed and stuff because the wheels, the
wider.
Yeah, they called it a baby carriage gear on the F4, and which was all right, but it wasn't very stable.
I've never seen it tucked right into the side of the fuselage or something.
Yeah.
So out on the wing.
Yeah. So anyway, so.
Now what squadron is this? Was this the same squadron you've been in for a long time?
When let's see, we formed that squadron at Atlantic City, as a matter of fact. We all met at Norfolk and all got together, and then they sent us to Atlantic City from all directions to form the squadron. So that was, it was VF 92 was our, and the air group was air group 92. We had 4 planes: a Corsair and a Hellcat, a dive bomber, and a torpedo bomber. all carrier based, and they were
They're all part of that air group.
yeah. We had about I'm not sure what the bombers had, the dive bombers and the torpedo bombers. They were smaller, a little smaller group, but we had about 36 pilots, I think, in our Corsairs and Hellcats.
Total.
And each one.
Oh, each one had 36. How many airplanes then are you talking approximately?
Well,
I mean, like in your group or your squadron?
well, they had. We did some maneuvers at Air Massachusetts, and we took all the airplanes we had, and everybody was gone. So I guess we must have had around 35 airplanes probably. Which they weren't all. They were battle-weary planes from the fleet, basically.
Oh, the Hellcats your planes?
Everything, all the training stuff was.
Oh, I see. They recycle it back.
Yeah, and it kept the mechanics busy for sure, trying to get that stuff.
Sure.
You know, keep it in shape for training even. There was a lot of things, you know, that they couldn't anticipate. They'd do what they could, but there was always some planes down, you know.
Oh, sure. Back to Montauk for just a second. Do you know if that airplane, I mean, obviously it's probably repairable and flew again.
Probably was. I'm not quite sure what the post did to the under wings where the bomb racks were out here, and I think they hit the bomb. Those posts hit the bomb racks. So, but since it was so close to where they built them, they probably took it back and repaired it. I'm not sure. It would be a major job. A lot of it was just surface, you know, skidding on the ground, you know, just messed up all the cowlings and all that stuff underneath. But
sure.
I didn't get under there to look at it.
Sure.
I don't know. But
once you landed and secured it all, I mean, were you having concerns about fire or anything like that, or was it everything pretty well off and stable by then?
Oh, as soon as I jumped out, it was no fire. I mean, yeah, because it was. I'd never had full power or anything to really get it hot. I didn't know where the smoke was coming from at that point. But anyway, it was no problem. I just jumped out and there was nothing going on, so I crawled down on the concrete, and the guys were there by then.
Sure.
But
was that a wet wing? Where was the fuel? Was it bladders in the wing?
The fuel was inboard from the hinge on where they folded back.
Sure, sure.
So when you took the wing off, I don't think there weren't any fuel connections to the wing themselves.
So like where you did the wing damage is probably outboard of all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. Just so. Anyway.
Take a break for a second.
Okay. The site. Why? He said, "I want to see your airplane." Well, they had the wings folded up already.
Sure.
Coast Guard or somebody.
Yeah.
I don't really know who.
Fortunately, it must not have been a lot of traffic.
Wasn't any traffic, or I couldn't have landed there.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
No, it was clear. You know, there weren't with the gas rationing and stuff. There weren't that many vehicles running around just loose, you know, without a mission.
Sure.
But anyway, it would have been nice to know what happened to it. But like I say, it was battle weary. Those airplanes cost $92,000 new.
Really?
And
the F-6.
The F-6, yeah, that's what they told us. He says you got to remember these things. These cost a bunch of money. He says you don't want to get any propellers. They're $12,000 a piece.
Wow.
And I don't know what the tires and wheels were. That was the main thing we ruined on the carriers usually.
Yeah.
But I need to tell you about a little excursion we had out at the North Atlantic on a Jeep carrier.